The greatest of these. The program of kindness, tolerance, and goodwill. Starring Tom Collins as Harvey Desmond, an unusual person who believes in his fellow man. The greatest of these. This is the story of Harvey Desmond, a young attorney whose deep conviction is that one should believe in and practice the spirit rather than the letter of the law. Harvey has been left the sum of $1 million by an eccentric client with which he has founded a philanthropic trust to help those who have met with adversity. In the administration of the Helping Hand Trust, he is greatly assisted by his fiancée, Betty Crane. This unusual couple believed with the Apostle Paul, and now abideth faith, hope, charity. These three, but the greatest of these is charity. And now to our story. Harvey is seated in his office in the early afternoon, digging into some old correspondence files as Betty enters.
Harvey? What on earth? Where did all that dust come from?
Sorry, dear, but I've been reading some old papers here.
Where'd you get them from, the coal cellar?
No, dear, the bottom of that clothes closet. As a matter of fact, it was the first litigation I ever undertook.
You make it sound as if it were back in the dark ages.
It was 8 years ago, Betty. Time's getting on.
Ooh, time is getting on, said the old man. To hear you talk,
Well, it was my first case. I didn't do so well with it.
Oh, you lost it? Oh, you poor darling. Civil or...
Criminal.
And your client was sentenced?
Yes. I fished out the papers because I just got a wire from him. He left prison by train this morning, and he's coming to see me this afternoon. How raw and inexperienced I was 8 years ago. How scared I was, and how the other side took advantage of it.
Oh, private prosecution, huh?
Yes, embezzlement by a cashier. You know, a bonding company always tries for the maximum imprisonment.
Well, I suppose your man was guilty.
I don't know. I didn't know at the time. Old Manning, my senior partner, was his lawyer, but he was taken sick with his last illness at the time of the arrest, so I carried on. Found I wasn't much good in court then.
Do convicts always come back to see their lawyer?
No, it depends on how they feel. Sam Crenshaw's very bitter. I went up to see him a couple of times and took his wife, but he was so acid and angry that there was no point in going back again. In any event, when he comes, I'd rather you wouldn't be here, Betty. You know, sometimes our language...
I understand. There's a wife, huh? Any children?
A pair of nice little twins. They'll be about 10 years old now. There's Nat of hers who sort of keeps them all going.
Harvey, is there anything we can do for her with the trust?
Well, I don't think so at the moment. I believe a job, if I can get him one, will be needed more than money. Of course, there'll be the usual prejudices to break down in most places, but...
Mr. Sam Crenshaw to see Mr. Desmond.
In about a minute, Miss Grant. I better go out this door, dear. Come back in an hour and make my tea.
Mm-hmm. If I get a kiss now.
Take this on account. Bye, darling. Well, come in, Sam. Glad to see you. Well, aren't you going to shake hands, Sam?
Nobody wants to shake hands with me. You know that.
Well, I do, anyhow. So will a lot of people if you feel it's your right to be accepted in society again, now that you've paid your debt.
I didn't. I wasn't in debt. They sent up the wrong man for that embezzlement.
I see. Any idea who should have been sentenced?
No, but I'm going to make it my business. My only business, to find out. And when I do find out...
Well, now, Sam, I've been thinking about you ever since I got your wire. And I'm going to ask you to do me a favor.
Me do you a favor. That's funny. What is it?
Look, will you sit down and relax in that big chair there and have a smoke instead of pacing up and down?
Sit down. Yes.
Yeah, that's better. Sam, there's something to smoke in that big cigar box there. Light up and we'll talk. Who else knows you're in the city, Sam?
Nobody. They released me all of a sudden. You were the only one I wanted to see. I don't know what kind of a welcome I'm likely to get from my family, but I've not heard from Lucy for over a month.
Your wife's in the hospital, Sam.
What?
She's getting over an operation.
What for?
Not too serious. Tumor on her arm.
Sure it was only that?
I'm positive. She'll be back home in a few days. The twins are at a small boarding house in the country. Very nice place while Lucy's away.
Well, do I get to see them, or have they been told their father's a jailbird?
I think your wife told them you were in Australia. Something easy to remember.
Oh.
In the meantime, Sam, try to be patient until she gets back. Get used to traffic and rub shoulders with other people. See the new restaurants. Take in a few shows.
On what? The $5 they gave me this morning?
Oh, no. I have some money belonging to you. Small balance that with interest amounts to $461.23. Had it here waiting for you ever since I got your wire. Yeah, here's the cash.
Thanks.
By the way, did they keep you busy up there in the gardens? I remember flower growing was always a hobby of yours.
I told them that when I first went in, but they shoved me in the laundry. Last year, though, they put me among the flowers. But by then, I'd lost my green thumb. It was no good.
Well, it'll come back now that you're in the world again. How's it feel to be smoking and having money in your pocket again?
Okay, I guess, but
Have a glass of water, Sam. It's a little warm in here.
I don't mind if I do.
Well, here's how.
Same here.
Well, now, Sam, if there's anything I can do, I'll be only too glad. Come in and see me anytime at all.
Okay. So long.
So long, Sam. Why are you looking at my hand like that? I want you to shake it.
Oh.
Well, you haven't forgotten how, have you?
No.
Ah, that's better.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Sam. Miss Grant, would you come in here, please?
Very good, sir.
Miss Grant, please get me my fingerprinting outfit.
Are you going to work it on someone, Mr. Desmond?
I have two perfect specimens on these drinking glasses, my own and Sam Crenshaw's. I'm going to put some dusting powder on them and photograph them. I have an idea.
Well, Mr. Savage, that's the whole story. Up to my coming out this morning.
Very interesting. And the name of the prisoner who recommended you to this agency was Norris, you say?
Yeah. Bill Norris.
Yeah.
Worked on odd jobs with me till he died last month. He said you was the best detective in the world.
Yeah. And yours is a very difficult case. Tracking down a criminal after the trial is over, a man condemned, and the sentence served. It'll take time, and that means money.
I've got some money.
How much?
Over $400.
Ah. Well, better let me have the $400 to be going on with and come in, say, in a week's time, eh?
Not before?
Well, let's see. Today's Monday. You might try telephoning me on Friday or Saturday to see if we found anything by then.
Now, here's the 1, 2, 3, 400.
Yeah.
Give me a receipt.
We don't give receipts in our business, Sam. We have to work too much in the dark very often. Mutual trust, huh? You see?
Oh.
Where you staying?
The Mills Hotel.
Okay. Good morning, Sam. That you, Pete? Here's one for the book. That guy Crenshaw's out. Remember him? Yeah, they sprung him early this morning. Drop everything else, and I'll be at your place tonight at 7. Well, Sam, I've given it to you as straight as I could. You can see now who was responsible for you being put away. The guy that defended you, pretended to defend you, Harvey Desmond.
I still don't get it. I don't see why he did it.
I don't know why he did it either. But they don't prove nothing. I don't know why Edison invented the electric light. But he did.
This is true. Of all the dirty double crossing.
Sure. You'd never have found out in 1,000 years who led you to your arrest, because that kind of thing's never been given out. But we've our own ways of finding these things out.
I can't believe it. I just can't believe that one man would railroad another to jail like that. In cold blood?
It's the rottenest thing I ever heard of. If someone did that to me, believe me, they'd never do that sort of thing again. To me or to anyone else.
Where can I buy a gun in this town?
Oh, now you mustn't talk like that. Think it over. Come in and see me next week.
Now, Sam, come on, have another cup of coffee. Sit down instead of pacing up and down like a... Sit down, darling. Make yourself comfortable and seem more like old times.
I'm sorry, Lucy, but when you've had over 7 years in that hole, you're not fit for the company of a wife or any kind of a woman.
Oh, I think I'll be able to cure you of that. Look, darling, we'll go out tonight and take in a show, and we'll have a couple of laughs, huh?
I'd like to get you away from this silly little apartment. There's no room to breathe here.
Oh, I know it's not like what we had before, Sam. What with that lovely garden and all, but... Oh, cheer up, honey. Better times will come again. Well, I couldn't have kept up that house anyway, you know that.
No, of course not.
Besides, this little apartment was so convenient to the school for the twins, and... Oh, darling, wait till you see them. You'll never know them.
That's another thing I want to talk to you about. What did your Aunt Carrie say about all this additional expense?
Aunt Carrie? She had nothing to do with it. She takes care of my rent, but nothing more.
Well, what about this hospital stuff?
Oh, that and sending the twins into the country while I was there came from another friend, but you're not supposed to know anything about that. Don't jump so, dear. It's just the doorbell. See who it is.
Aren't you going to the door?
No, you go. You might as well get used to answering the door and meeting people. Go on, Sam. Go on, answer it.
Okay. Pick up that chair, will you?
Yes, darling.
Oh, okay. Here. Delivery man left it.
Well, what is it? I didn't order anything. Well, let's see, what's the name on the box? Rumples. Oh, I'll bet it's a cake. Come on, darling, let's open it. Oh, I wonder. Oh, look how lovely. Look, Sam.
Happy birthday to Lucy, it says. And I forgot.
Oh, well, you're out of practice at remembering. Besides, my birthday's not till tomorrow anyway. Then you can get me a flower as a present when we go out, huh? Oh, look, isn't it lovely? Honey, pass me a plate from the top shelf, will you, dear?
Who said it? There's no card.
Oh, it's the same friend, I suppose. It's always doing nice things for us.
Well, I want to know who it is that can afford to send you to a hospital and pay for this kind of stuff. Well, are you going to tell me?
Sam, are you getting jealous or something?
I want to know who's doing it. Are you going to tell me or not?
Now, Sam, you don't have to excite yourself like that.
Are you going to...
Well, he asked me to keep it a secret for the time being, but you must know it's Mr. Desmond, the lawyer.
Desmond?
Yes.
Desmond. The man who's played me for a sucker for years. The man who had me set up...
Oh, Sam, you've ruined that lovely cake.
Don't you understand? It was Mr. Desmond that had me put away in prison, pretending to defend me? That's your beautiful
friend.
friend.
Oh, it's not true. It can't be true. You don't know what you're saying.
What's he been doing to you? What have you been doing with him? Well, you won't have to bother about him after Monday. There'll be no more cakes, no more presents, no more favors for my kids. Get that? Because I'm going down to his office as soon as he gets in and kill him. Same as I would a rat.
Oh, Sam!
And now to Act Two of The Greatest of These. It is Monday morning in the apartment of Sam and Lucy Crenshaw.
Oh, Miss Crane, thank heaven you've come. So kind of you to get here so quickly. I'm at wit's end.
Here, now, take it easy. Don't forget you're just out of the hospital, so be a good girl and relax now. Where's Mr. Crenshaw?
I don't know, Miss Crane, but I know he's going to Mr. Desmond's office.
Yes?
He's going there to do Mr. Desmond some harm.
But why, for goodness sake?
Well, somebody told him that Mr. Desmond's responsible for him going to prison.
What?
Oh, I know it sounds mad, but that's what he thinks. Then when a cake came yesterday afternoon for my birthday, I told him Mr. Desmond had sent it.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was a gift from me, but, well, that's neither here nor there. What made you say Mr. Desmond?
I naturally thought it came from him because he's been so kind and generous to me and the babies in so many ways.
Oh, what a funny man. Here I am engaged to marry him, but he never told me anything of this.
You see, he looked after the hospital expenses and the specialists and sent the babies into the country, and he asked me not to tell anybody about it, so I didn't until yesterday.
Well, then what happened?
Well, somebody's told Sam that Mr. Desmond sold him out at the trial. And yesterday he got so violent and he flung himself out of the house, and he didn't come home all night. And I'm afraid he'll do something terrible to Mr. Desmond. That's why I phoned you this morning. I just mustn't meet Miss Crane.
No, somebody's got to have it out with Sam. Is that clock right?
Yes, I timed it by the radio this morning.
Well, it'll be 3/4 of an hour before Harvey can get to his office, and if Sam is waiting there now and I break all the speed laws, I can have 30 minutes with Sam.
Miss Crane, I've never seen Sam like this before, but you please be careful.
Yes, I will. Goodbye. Come in, Miss Grant, please.
Miss Crane, I've never heard you come in by the side door. I didn't hear you.
I only just made it. Is Sam Crenshaw out there?
Yes, and he looks terrible.
Oh, send him in. I have to talk cold turkey to that young man.
It's very good, Miss Crane. Will you come in, please, Mr. Crenshaw?
Oh, hello. My name's Betty Crane, and I know all about you, Mr. Crenshaw.
I came here to see Harvey Desmond.
Yes, I know you did. You see, I sent your wife a birthday cake yesterday afternoon. I didn't put my card in the box, and it seems to have led to a misunderstanding between you two.
She told me he sent it. Where do you come in on this?
Well, I'm going to marry him.
Oh, I get it. Taking the blame on yourself, eh?
Don't be silly. Bring up Rumples and ask them whose account that cake was charged to.
I don't have to.
Oh, you don't dare, you mean. You don't want to know the truth. But you're going to listen to it. I've just seen your wife, what you've left of her.
What do you mean, what I've left of her? I haven't harmed her.
No, just her spirit and her peace of mind. All right. Now, look, you went to prison. You were surly and bad-tempered and ungrateful when she went to visit you, but she still went on loving you. For 7 long years, that girl remained absolutely loyal to you in act and word and thought. Being a man, you don't understand what it is to be young and vital and to feel the need of a man's love. Still have to live alone and be loyal to someone you may not see again for years and years.
Well, she was married to me.
Oh, are you too thick-headed to imagine what many others would have done in her place? Well, they'd have looked after their own comfort first. But she loved you, that's all.
I suppose she did. Yeah.
Well, so much for Lucy. And you can also dismiss from your mind that Harvey Desmond ever did a crooked trick in his whole life, such as throwing a case or letting a client down. But that man's incapable of it. On the other hand, he does a great many fine, kindly things he doesn't tell anybody about. I bless him for it. He's not merely a good man, but he's a great man.
You're certainly putting up a case for him. But I have information. I know he threw away my case.
Well, forget your information. It's wrong, I tell you. Well, do you know what Harvey Desmond's doing right now? At this very minute?
No.
He's bringing your children in from the country where he's had them in a beautiful home. Bringing them back to Lucy and you. Come here and stand at this window, and if that bulge in your pocket is a gun, you'll be able to shoot him easily. But you'll be shooting your best friend. Come and see. Look, there's his car coming. That cheap little old coupe that's pulling up. There, you see those 2 kids getting out? They're laughing, Sam. New frocks, too. Look at them dance and cling to his arms. You can tell they trust him. Come on, yank out that pistol and do what you were going to do. Well, go on, point it. There he is.
I nearly made a terrible mistake. Thank God you stopped me in time.
Okay. I'll go and take care of the twins. I'll telephone Lucy to come down, too.
Miss Grant.
Give me a drink of water, quickly. So near passing out.
Well, my goodness, you're as white as a sheet, Miss Crane.
Thank you. Oh, what a relief. I'll be all right in a minute.
Oh, hello, darling. How are you today? Good morning, Miss Grant.
Good morning.
Good morning, dear.
Betty, dear, I parked the twins in the back room of the delicatessen down below. Do you mind taking charge of them? I'm going to be very busy in the next half hour.
Sure. I've been busy, too, this last half hour, darling.
That's so. Any messages, Miss Grant?
Well, Mr. Crenshaw's in your office, and Mrs. Nelson phoned to say she'd be here at 11 o'clock.
Fine. Goodbye, dear. I'll join you below in a little while. Hello, Sam. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling better than I was. It's a fine young lady. that Miss Crane.
Oh, I'm glad you think so, Sam. I do, too. What's on your mind?
A good deal, Mr. Desmond. I've been terribly mixed up these last few days. I went to a detective agency to find out about my case.
You went to a... All right, go on.
They told me that you and Mr. Manning were responsible for my arrest and that you threw away the case. Sorry.
Uh-huh. I get it. The idea was to get you in real trouble this time. Beating me up or something. No defense to that.
I'm awfully sorry.
Well, never mind about that part. Didn't come off, so it isn't important. Police headquarters. Captain Feely, please. Harvey Desmond calling. Captain Feely, the person we discussed is coming here at 11. I'll leave the side door to my private office unlatched and slightly open. You'll be able to hear everything. You're in on this, too, Sam. Just open that door and do what I said. Unlatch it and leave it open about 1/4 of an inch. Now, that's it. You see that clothes closet there, Sam? That's for you to get into when I tell you. It's a bit dusty, but you'll be able to breathe and hear. The hearing's important, but no noise.
But what's this all about?
It's all about you and your trial, Sam. We're going to get the real culprit this time, I hope. Oh, what's that on the floor? Pistol?
Yes. I bought it to...
That sort of thing gets you nowhere. You know that. Put it in that clothes closet. Now, about that case of yours. I got to looking at the papers and documents in the case the other day. One sheet of accounts that should have remained in the possession of the court as an exhibit had some way found its way into my files. I got looking at it, and it struck me that there was something funny about that loose leaf. Last Monday, I tried a little iodine vapor on it, and it confirmed what I'd suspected. There'd been some tampering with the figures. I knew then who.
Mrs. Mallison to see Mr. Desmond.
They're into the closet, Sam, quick. Ask her to come in, please. Mrs. Mallison, won't you be seated?
I don't know what I'm doing here, but your wire said you had something to tell me to my advantage. What is it?
I have some papers here in my safe that I think will interest you. Pardon me. Here we are. I believe these papers are old friends of yours, Mrs. Mallison. Recognize any of them? In the matter of Samuel Crenshaw before Judge Robertson some years ago.
What are you trying to give me?
Just some old history of a time when you were a private secretary to the manager of a large corporation in this city. And your name was Helene Webster. Clever girl, brilliant at figures. Crooked, too. Now running the biggest policy racket in this part of the world.
Go on, big boy. You seem to know your stuff. But I'll tell you...
No, I'll tell you. The manager of that corporation was crooked. You got onto it, helped him cook up the figures on the loose-leaf system you had installed in the plant, and let the young cashier, Sam Crenshaw, take the blame.
No, wait a minute. That was all...
But you and only you got the cashier convicted by your rotten handiwork. It's all written here on this loose leaf.
What do you mean, written?
Just as distinctly as if you'd signed your name to it all. There were fingerprints of Sam Crenshaw, there were my prints, there were prints of officials, all with good reason to be there. But all these were on the edges, as one might expect. There was one set of prints, however, on every line. Yours. Just like a signature. Better than a signature. They can't be forged.
Who says they're my fingerprints?
The police. They took them when they raided your gambling.
Well, where does this all put me? What's all this tripe about it being to my advantage to come here?
Very simple, Mrs. Mallison. You see, Sam Crenshaw...
What's the advantage, I'm asking you?
Well, if you hadn't come here, you'd have been mixed up in a murder. Sam Crenshaw became a desperate man after nearly 8 years of brooding in prison. He'd have been murdered by your gang if he'd gotten too close to the truth. Or if he was quick enough, he'd have shot you.
Okay. Okay, you got me. Will you pour me a drink of water, please?
Why, certainly.
You all right, Harvey? Stay where you are, Helene.
Yeah, I'm all right, Captain. Somebody broke a glass, though.
This dame used the oldest gag in the world, distracting your attention while she pulled her gun.
You hurt my hand, you filthy cop.
Oh, sweetheart, I aimed at your gun and hit it. I wouldn't harm a pretty little mitt like yours.
You'll see where this will get you, copper. I'll have a bondsman round at your station house in 10 minutes.
Bail for attempted murder? Not in this town, sweetheart.
Come in. Oh, it's you, Sam. Well, now you know. Captain, when you've got this, lady under lock and key, I'd like to tell you about the plans we have for Sam's future.
Sure. Here, put it there, Sam.
about some more coffee, Sam? Lucy, fill his cup up, will you?
Good. There you are,
Thanks,
Johnny.
dear. Mr. Desmond, Miss Crane. It's not easy for me to say what I'd like to say. I'm still in pretty much of a whirl.
Oh, he means about the house. Oh, you've no idea what it'll mean to him.
Well, I didn't build it, you know. I only found it.
And it was to let.
Oh, and the twins just love it.
A very healthy situation for Sam.
Mm-hmm. And he can grow his flowers there for a year or so until he feels he wants to go into the world again or go in for farming. A good guess, Harvey. I'm rather proud of you.
These three. And the greatest of these is charity.
Harvey Desmond was portrayed by Tom Collins, Betty Crane by Mary Lansing, Sam by Gain Whitman, and Lucy by Gigi Pearson. The greatest of these was written by Charles Whitaker and was produced and directed by Edward Sloman.